There was a group of disciples who went to their saintly master and said to him, "Master, we would like to build a house for you. Where would you like us to erect it?" So the master led them to the side of a river, and he pointed to the middle of the river. And they said, "Master, how can we build a house for you in the middle of a river?" And the master said, "Do you not yet know that if you want to taste the breath of nirvana, or in our words, the absence of illusion, then you do not construct your house out of the elements of existence. Let existence be the bridge that you walk on and cross, but do not build your home there." Over these last days together, we've been asking the questions. What is it that is there? What is this love that remains when all the loves of existence have been played out? And the second question is, what is the meaning of the absence of illusion? There's an old story told before, and it's about that young king, handsome, virile, leading a kingdom that was rich and prosperous, ruling fairly and well. But he had a longing. He longed to find a queen. But none of the maidens that had been brought to him had drawn forth his love. So to ease his loneliness, he loved to hunt. He would go out into the forest and chase the deer, the elk, the wild boar, even the rabbits, the foxes, the wolves. But one day, while he was out hunting, when fatigue overcame him, he climbed down from his horse and went to a nearby stream to assuage his thirst. And whilst he was there, not far from where he knelt to drink, he saw a maiden bathing in the water. Shy though she was, their eyes met, and it was instant love. But of course, being a boy, she covered herself and disappeared. But the king now sought her, his heart leading the way. And he found his way into a clearing, and it became known to him that the maiden was the daughter of a great ascetic sage who had taken residence there in the forest with a group of his followers. So the king presented himself to the great saint and asked, could he have the hand of his daughter in marriage? The king said, there are two things. First, you must cease killing the animals of this forest. And secondly, you may only wed her if she agrees to this. Now, he made that promise that he would never again kill anything in his kingdom or in any place afar. And when the maiden was approached, she readily accepted the king's offer of marriage. So that very evening the wedding was arranged. But the king was anxious to get back to his kingdom, his palace, so he left with his new bride. But they had not gone very far when darkness descended, and they sought shelter by the side of a river under a great, great tree, where they consummated their union and slept in each other's arms. In the morning, when they awoke, the king, opening his eyes, expecting to see the sunshine bright through the branches of the tree, but instead there was a great shadow that loomed over them. And in a few moments it became evidence that this shadow was a great, great demon. And it spoke loudly, "How dare you enter my domain without first asking my permission and not giving respect to me? For this, if you do not bring to me the offering of a small boy, I will take from you your kingdom and your wife. 7 days. The king and his new bride, quaking with fear, returned to the king's palace. Immediately, the king sent out a crier into the city to request a boy to be offered to the demon. The cry went about down this street and that. Who will offer their son to save the kingdom? People ran into their houses. The mothers took their boys and hastened to close their doors. But it so happened that a young boy by the name of Krishna, in fact an incarnation of Krishna himself, was in the town doing an errand for his parents, and when the messenger came by, he stepped out in front of the horse and said, "I will offer myself to save the king and our kingdom." The crier said to Krishna, "But your parents, you must seek permission from your mother and your father." Krishna replied, "I have had many mothers and fathers. I will be the sacrifice." Krishna went back to his house to tell his parents. They wept and cried. They had had Krishna late in life. They loved him with all their being. But there was no question. Krishna was to be the sacrifice. The day arrived when the king and his entourage came, and with Krishna's parents, they took Krishna into the forest, down to the river, and under the great tree there was a slab awaiting, on which Krishna was laid. His father stood at his head, and his mother at his feet. And the king, standing beside him, raised his sword, waiting for the sign from the demon who had been there and awaited them to bring down his sword into the heart of the boy Krishna. But in that moment, Krishna began to laugh. His laughter rang out, and the demon cried out, "Why are you laughing?" And Krishna replied, "When one is in trouble, it is usual to turn to one's mother and father. But here I am, on the altar that is to be my death, and my father stands at my head, and my mother at my feet." And then he said, "But if they fail, one would turn to the king, and here is the king who is to be the instrument of my death." And then he began to laugh again. And as he laughed, the trees laughed, and the grass began to wave in laughter. The birds in the trees twittered with laughter. The mountains rang with laughter. What is the end of this story? When all the loves of existence have proved to us to not bring with them the breath of nirvana. What is this that lies beyond existence? The absence of illusion. What does this story tell us of this? What taste have you had of the breath of Nirvana? It is not possible that you would be sitting here had you not. What is the end of this story? Where is your home? Not built from your experiences, not arrived at from your longing. You would not be sitting here did you not